Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to this Sunday morning session. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce Dr. Edwin Fernando, who is not new to the nephrology crowd. He is professor and head of nephrology at the Government Stanley Medical College in Chennai. After doing his DM in 1998 from the Madras Medical College, he has done fellowships in nephrology in Sydney, in Glasgow and Edinburgh, has been a member of several committees and professional organizations, has 59 publications in index journals, several chapters, is a very popular speaker in many conferences. I have worked with him for some, in the Indian Society of Nephrology for over the last decade, and have come to highly respect his ability and knowledge. And the best introduction I could give is that he is a good friend of mine. Edwin, all yours, please go ahead and start your lecture.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Raja Professor, for a very kind and magnanimous introduction of me. I thank the Indian Society of Nephrology and this research workshop group headed by Dr. Rajapurkar for giving me this opportunity to speak to you on how to effectively search the literature using basic search strategies like the PubMed and also the other search strategies. All of us read books. Textbooks come once in 4 years. However, information gets updated on a daily basis. And that's the basis for doing a literature search. So the outline of the talk over the next 1 hour or so would focus mainly on PubMed. I shall also touch upon Embase, Cochrane, the CINAHL, and the Mendeley methods of searching. And we shall have a small quiz and a poll at the end. Why do we do a literature? What is a literature search basically? So basically it's an exhaustive search for published information on a subject conducted systematically using all available bibliographic finding tools aimed at locating as much existing material on the topic as possible. This is an important initial step for any serious research project. So this has to be systematic and well organized, and it will help to identify breadth of good quality references on a specific topic. Why do we have to search the medical literature at all? To answer a specific patient-related case-related question. For example, you see somebody in clinical practice and you want to review the literature on that. To learn more about a medical topic, education, updating knowledge, faculty like us, and even very senior faculty keep updated on their knowledge. To determine the current best practice, this is guidelines on treatments, to give the best possible care to patients using evidence-based medicine. And when one is asked to speak in an academic forum, one has to give the updated information. And that's another reason why we search the medical literature. So a database is an organized collection of data. Bibliographic databases are searched through many of the same techniques as any other database. These techniques apply to any literature database, and I'll be focusing mainly on PubMed, which is a very popular database. Different search interfaces do the same thing in slightly different ways. PubMed is a very good interface, and a good search interface should provide the ability to search for a specific term, ability to search for related items to a known item, ability to search in a specific field or fields, ability to combine search terms using what is known as the Boolean logic, about which I shall be talking about, and ability to retrieve the search results in a useful way. When we think about a topic, a research topic, we ask this question on the PICO. PICO is patient population of problem. What are the characteristics of the patient or population? What is the condition or disease that you are interested in looking into? What do you do with this patient? The intervention or the exposure, treat, diagnose, observe, etc. Third is comparison. What is the alternative to the intervention? Suppose I don't have treatment, drugs. Is there any different drug or a surgical manipulation that could be done? Or what are the outcomes? What are the relevant outcomes like morbidity, death, complications, etc. The first thing is to parse the question. Parsing is splitting the question into relevant phrases. What are the main concepts in your question? I have put a sample question here. A research question could go like this. Does nutrition therapy improve decubitus ulcer healing in an elderly patient? So here, the concepts are, one is nutrition therapy, second is decubitus pressure ulcers, third is ulcer healing, fourth is elderly patients, and fifth is what is the treatment efficacy. So these are the parsing the question, splitting into meaningful phrases by which you could search. The next concept is grouping or nesting. Nesting is represented by a symbol. This is in brackets, in parentheses, is a technique of searching that considers similar concepts indicated by a logical command or expressed in different terms as a single. For example, fever or saying febrile, paracetamol or saying acetaminophen, kidney or saying renal. So this could help to narrow down the search. The next concept is truncation. Truncation is a searching technique used in a database to which a word ending is replaced by symbols. So examples of symbols are, one is asterisk, a question mark, depending on the database. So here, when we type child and put an asterisk, the result of our search will be documents that contain the words child, children, childhood, or childcare. So in this way, we are able to expand our search. So the objectives of effective literature search would be to formulate your question, understand basic database structure, use of Boolean logic, use field searching, use of controlled vocabulary, specialty techniques like truncation that I just mentioned, and building your search strategy. So what is Boolean logic? Boolean logic is nothing but a British mathematician named George Boole developed an algebraic system of logic that is now widely used in computer and electronic systems, including the database. A very simple form of Boolean logic is used for searching most bibliographic databases. The standard Boolean logic for database searching uses three main relationships among the search terms: and, or, not. It is both simple as well as powerful. So let's discuss this briefly. Now, a typical example of and would be, suppose you want to search on drugs and cancer. So when you type this in the query box in PubMed, both terms are included in any result. So if there is the drugs and cancer separately, both terms can be included in any result. If a record has only one of the two terms, suppose it contains only drugs or only cancer, it will not be retrieved. And if the record has neither term, it will not be retrieved, which means to say that drugs and cancer have to be there in that particular title to retrieve this particular search. So when do you use and? And groupings contain terms for different ideas or concepts and can combine or groupings. Term, you put a term, and you put another term or another term where each represents a different concept. So you say heart attack and smoking. An example could be diabetes and exercise, and cancer, and you can either write treatment or therapy because both essentially mean the same. The next concept is or. So here is a typical dogs or canines. You search this way. Only one, not both of the terms are in the results, or will retrieve the record if both are included. So or groupings contain terms for the same idea or concept and are usually put in parentheses. Term, you put a term or another term where all the terms are different ways are representing the same concept. It could mean faculty, teachers, or professors, all essentially mean the same. But if you put only faculty, you may not retrieve the documents with teachers or professors. So this would include all the three terms: students or learners or pupils. So again, essentially all three are the same. So when you use the or term, your search gets more expanded. The third Boolean logic is not. It excludes any result containing the term. For example, drugs, not antibiotics. Here you want to exclude a group of drugs. So you put in drugs and exclude the antibiotics. So records containing both will not be retrieved. You have to be very careful while using the not statements. You have to put it at the end and can contain an or grouping. They are often used to get rid of a common subgroup. For example, students, not dental. Diabetes, not juvenile. Which way? You can look at diabetes, you can exclude juvenile diabetes. Combining similar terms. Use the Boolean operators to combine different terms. Use or to combine different terms for the same concept and to combine different concepts, and not to exclude concepts, but must be used with caution to avoid excluding relevant terms. So the use of these Boolean operators are a very useful way by which PubMed is searched. Now, putting them together, identify the concepts, parse the question, as I mentioned, list specific terms for each concept, put the terms for each concept in an or statement with parenthesis, combine or statements with and add any not statements at the end for exclusion purposes. So a short history about PubMed. PubMed is a free resource developed and maintained by the National Center for Biotechnology Information at the US National Library of Medicine located at the NIH. Publishers of journals can submit their citations to the NCBI and then provide access to the full text of articles at journal websites using a link out, which could take a searcher straight into the website of the journal. PubMed comprises more than 30 million citations for biomedical literature from Medline, life sciences journals, and online books. Citations may include links to the full text content from PubMed Central and publisher websites. This is one way of getting into the full text content. PubMed contains all citations from the medical literature back to 1953, and it is updated daily directly from publishers. It links directly to the home pages of the journals, and there are YouTube videos where you could go into these videos and see whatever I have spoken in these YouTube videos. So where did it originate from? It originated somewhere in 1997, where during the end of the American Civil War, when Dr. John Billings, a field surgeon in the Union Army, offered a job at the Surgeon General's office in 1865. He took charge of the office library, which then had about 1,800 books. He had a graduation thesis on epilepsy, and he recalled a time-consuming and disappointing search for literature. He decided to establish this comprehensive medical library for American physicians and to prepare a comprehensive catalog and index of the medical literature. This was supplemented by the organizational skills of another gentleman called Dr. Robert Fletcher, who joined the library in 1876 to pursue the idea of indexing the medical literature. So why use PubMed? For reasons that I mentioned in the last few slides, it's the most widely used medical database platform of its kind in the world. It's freely available. It's very user-friendly. This is the homepage of the PubMed. As you go down this page, you would see the trending articles. You could see the latest literature and which journals have been highly accessed. Then you would see a lot of things like learn, find, download, explore, etc. So everything is very user-friendly, and you could get into one of these and then start searching the literature. From May 2020, you have a newer version of PubMed. That's what I showed you right now. It contains better and newer retrieval features, which include improved sensors to find out for the search terminologies. It enhances synonyms and the plural forms, unlimited truncation, enhanced British and American mapping, and the improved best match brings the best results that you have searched to the top. This is one of the newer features of PubMed. So how do I search PubMed? Identify the key concepts of your search, enter the terms or key concepts in the search box. Suggestions will display as you type your search terms, like what happens in Google, and click search to run this search in PubMed. So I shall now demonstrate an online version of how to search the PubMed. Could you just, I stop the share and then move on to the PubMed screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I search for IgA nephropathy, and you could see the prompts. It says IgA nephropathy, it says IgG4 related disease, IgG, COVID, etc. So I search for IgA nephropathy. So as you go into the screen, what you see is the best match. So whatever articles have been retrieved, 9,244 results have been retrieved. And this is displayed by best match. You could change this option. So what you see here is a summary of the article. You could read the abstract if you want of all the articles. This is sorted out by best match. If you want a most recent match, you can go by publication date, the first author, or the journal. This is the best match that is offered by PubMed. Now, as you go to the left side of the screen, you would see the timeline of the publications. So just imagine a disease like IgA nephropathy. Publication started from 1951. And as you run through this, you would see the number of articles per year. And this particular year, 2018, there were 427 articles that were published about IgA nephropathy. And as you go down the screen, you would see the abstract, free full text. Suppose these are called filters. Now, if you want only the abstracts, you could tick abstract and then come back. If you want to see only the free full text, so let us say search IgA nephropathy, where only free full texts are available. Now, from 9,000 odd results, we come back to 2,852 results. Now, before you apply the next filter, make sure you clear this filter so that you get back the same original 9,244 articles back. Now, if you want to look at randomized control trial in IgA nephropathy, now 158 results you will get. You could go into each of these. This is the testing trial, this is the Nefigant trial. And before you go back to the next search, next filter, please clear this filter so that you get back your 9,244, the initial number. And as you go down, you can go by publication date. You can look at IgA nephropathy in the last 1 year. So this reveals about 386 results. Again, clear this filter. Then you could go by the journal category. If you click, you can find out what other journals are available. This is only Medline. This is on Medline. You could look at additional filters. You could go by the language. Then this is additional filters. So if you want to look at English language, you can choose your language. You can choose even whether the male or female patients were studied. You could go by journal. You could go by age, etc. So all this could be done. Filters can be applied, and make sure you reset all filters before you go back to your original 9,244 results. Now, you want to search by a journal. So let us take Indian Journal of Nephrology. So now I search for Indian Journal of Nephrology. I would get articles that were published in Indian Journal of Nephrology. You could see the timeline. You could go by abstracts, free full text, etc. Suppose you want to look at CJSN. So again, you get results from CJSN. So this is one way of looking at it. Suppose you want to search for a particular author. You know a particular author. You want to search in his name. Now, this author, I've been very fascinated by this gentleman because I've read his articles when he was training in '96, and still I find him publishing. So from 1971, when he started publishing, you could see his publications even up to 2020. So most of his work has been on the post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, and even the recent articles on IRGN were written by him. He's from a country called Venezuela. Okay. Now I stop the screen share. I'll go back to my slides now. Okay. So this is what I mentioned about the author. You could put in the full name or the John A. Smith. You could expand the name, whatever way. This is by searching by journal name that I mentioned to you. A specific citation, for example. You have got a citation. This is, you picked this up from somewhere. You want to go directly to this. You highlight this and put it in the search term. You will retrieve that article particularly. Now, the most important question, as most of us and most of our trainees would ask, is how do I get a copy of this article? So the PubMed search results do not include the full text of the journal article always. The abstract display may provide links to the full text from other sources, such as directly from a publisher's website. This is called the link out. The full text journal may require a subscription through an access that may be available on a personal basis or through the local medical library. So this is what I mentioned. The copy of the article, to get it may be difficult. Sometimes the full journal, the journal site through link out can get, or through your local medical library, you can get a copy of the article. So again, I'll use a search term of obesity and kidney. I will go to the PubMed site once again. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I am going to search on obesity. As I search obesity, you could see the prompts, and I want to look at obesity and the kidney. So my search has revealed about 13,256 results, and this is the timeline which you could see here. A couple of years back, we had a World Kidney Days theme on obesity and kidney, and that is probably the time when maximum articles were published on this. Now I want to look at, this is obesity and kidney disease. So I look at this article. So this has been published in the Progress in Cardiovascular Disease in July 2018. And these are the authors. You could search, you know that most workers on particular fields work on that field for long, and obesity and kidney may be an area of interest for either of them. So you could put this name and search for articles on this, their work on this. And this is the link out. This is the Elsevier website, where you could go to this particular journal, from where you can get a full text link. Elsevier mostly doesn't offer anything free, so most of it is paid. Then you can share this article on Twitter, Facebook. And as you come down, another important feature of PubMed is similar articles could also be read. So you search for a particular thing, obesity and kidney disease. So similar articles would also show up, and then you can take a link. And then comes the citations. Now, what is important whenever you publish, when your article gets quoted by somebody, it adds a lot of importance to your article. So this article is cited by 8 other articles, which means these publications have come much later than the one that we first searched. And this particular article has been quoted in this citation. And it tells you what is this review. This is a review article. Okay, and this is known as a mesh term, medical subheadings. I shall tell you what this is about. And There are further link outs by which you can go to other sites to get this. Now let's look at obesity therapy. And I search in mesh. I'll tell you what is mesh a little later. Now with this, I have about search results in obesity. These are the linked terms: obesity, abdominal, anti-obesity drugs, etc. Suppose you want to search this particular article, obesity. These are the subheadings under which you could search. So let us say obesity drug therapy. I take this, I add to the search builder. Here I can use the Boolean logic and or not. So I want to use and I search PubMed. Now I get about 10,471 results. Now this is known as the mesh term. So drug therapy in obesity comes to about 10,471. Again, you could apply these filters and then whatever article you want to. There's one on obesity pharmacotherapy published in 2020. So this way, now again, this goes by the best possible, this goes by most recent. You could change it to best match. So for certain articles, you have to go for best match. For certain articles, you have to look at the latest on the information. Now I go back, I look at obesity once again. Another demonstrate. I look at childhood obesity. Now I open this article on childhood obesity and I go to the mesh term. I want to look at bariatric surgery. I search in mesh. So I get a couple of subheadings under which I search. Now I want to look at ethics of bariatric surgery. I add to the search builder. I use and I search the PubMed. So now I get bariatric surgery ethics. Ethics is the mesh word, and I get only 39 results. So as you read the title of the article, you would find that all this relates to ethics of surgery in childhood for childhood obesity. So this is the mesh term. Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint now? Is my PowerPoint
Yes, sir.
seen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So the mesh is a controlled vocabulary. It's one of the distinctive features of PubMed. This is called medical subject headings. So it imposes uniformity and consistency to the indexing of the biomedical literature. And these mesh terms are arranged in a hierarchical categorized manner called the mesh tree structure and are updated annually. So we have about 26,000 mesh headings as of now. For example, if you look at kidney neoplasms, it goes by disease category, the neoplasms by histological type, carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, kidney, etc. So what is this control vocabulary? Control vocabulary is a set of established terms where every term represents a single concept and only one term is used for that concept. Now, I'll quote an example. Teachers, faculty, instructors, professors, tutors, educators, lecturers all mean essentially the same. But we can't be searching for all this individually. So in a control vocabulary, one of these will be chosen to represent this concept. So the mesh term for all this would mean faculty. It's a broad term which includes all what I mentioned on the left-hand side of the slide. Now this faculty could be dental, it could be medical, it could be nursing, it could be engineering, whatever. So you understand what a mesh term is. Now this is where you find the mesh database at the bottom of your PubMed screen. And this is what I showed you, the subheadings. So you put in the diagnosis there, add to the search builder, use and then search the PubMed. You get the results. So if you look at an article like this, contemporary management of small renal masses, these are the different mesh terms that you could use. What are the types of surgery that could be used? What is the treatment outcome? What are the time factors, etc. Why use the mesh? It increases precision of your search, gets articles that are really about your topic. It allows you to use subheadings like therapy, genetics, drug effects, and finds articles regardless of the terminology the author uses. So the author may use faculty, but when you use the author may use the term professor, but when you term faculty, that article also shows up. Now, it goes without saying that these mesh terms are manually made. So the people sitting at the NLM, the National Library of Medicine, would look at these mesh terms and keep updating it manually. So when you use the mesh, one of the drawbacks is you will not get the very latest articles added to the PubMed database because it takes time for the human being at the NLM to index or label each article. So you may get the best match, but you may not get the latest match. This is a simple subject search. This is called automatic query translation, where you just want to look at prostate cancer proteomics. You just type this. And these are the various translations for this. All this is automatically done on PubMed. Then you can set up your filters. For example, you want to search English language, you want to search the free full text published in the last 5 years, and you want to look at only the reviews. So this gives you a result like English 14 articles, free full text 6, published in the last 5 years 60. So this is how you set up your limits and filters, because if you look at IgA nephropathy, there were some 9,000 odd articles, all of which are really not required for you. So you could, if you look at treatment of IgA nephropathy, probably you want to see what has happened in the last 5 years. Then this is a very useful search technology. So again, it shows you the various filters here. You could go by the age, the sex. These filters I mentioned during the earlier part of my talk. And this is an advanced search builder where you could go to whatever field you want, enter a search term and add, and then enter your search query, and it gives you a more advanced search. This is called the PubMed clinical queries. For example, if you have clinical study categories, systematic reviews, or genetics, you could just type this here. It is there available on the first page itself. Suppose you want to learn something about the credence study. You just type credence. You will get all details about the credence study. Or if you just type autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease and look into the medical genetics, then this comes in. So this is one of the PubMed tools called clinical queries, and it improves the accuracy of your PubMed search. So this is the clinical query where you can put the category as therapy. The scope can be broad or narrow, depends upon what you want to search. And you can set your category and emphasize the sensitivity or specificity. You can put the category as prognosis and then put narrow, then you could get the results. These are very specific questions and you want a very specific answer for this. This PubMed clinical queries could be used. And what do you do when you're happy with your search? Never be happy with your search because there may be something that you have missed. So always keep going back. You could go into Google and then cross-check, etc. So you can look at, you can take the abstracts, you can get 50 per page, the ones that are recently added, and you can choose the destination where to save them. You either put it in the file or the clipboard, or you want to transfer it to your email or collections, etc. So this could be done so that you could read it at a later date. And when you're happy with your search, you can serve this as your text file on your laptop or on your system. And this is a text, so you could even use it for future editing. On the clipboard, if you save, it's on your PC for about 8 hours. So at the end of your search, click on the clipboard and collect all the articles that you have saved. Or a simple thing, if you are not very, people who are not very tech savvy, you could just open a Word document and then copy all the abstracts, cut, paste them, and copy it in the Word document and then retrieve it at a later date. You could save your search settings on NCBI. You could log in, you can create an email ID, And whenever there are email updates of the new search, again, you can, the NCBI would send you mails that a particular new article has been published on this subject. And this is the related articles feature. So I mentioned to you this, that the related articles are displayed at the end of the major articles, and also the citations. The citations are displayed in rank order from most to least relevant. This is a PubMed single citation manager. This comes under the tools, where you can type the journal, you can type the date, the volume, the page, and you can get the title words or the author or the last author, whatever. You could get specifics. This is called a single citation matcher. Okay, this is what I mentioned about the single citation manager. And there is a reference manager software where all your bibliography that you have done could be saved. Now, the free full text articles could be found here in the search, or this is called the link out, where the journal's website is available, where a free final version could be available. You could click there and get the article. Most of the time when these are not available and you are badly in need of an article, the corresponding author is always mentioned here, and you could email the corresponding author in nice words, and he may be kind enough to send you an article sometimes. Okay, this is how to get the full text articles that I've already mentioned to you. You can go back to your institution library. Most institution libraries have access to the NLM, and you can select the article that you want to read. These are field tags. Okay, at the end they give you AU means author, TW means text word. These are the field tags. For example, MESH is called medical subject heading. It's denoted by MH, journal name, affiliation, etc. So these field tags are helpful for your search. So to sum up, how to do a bibliographic search? Start with clear ideas of what you're looking for. If you do not have thorough knowledge of the topic, read a couple of recent good reviews that could be helpful. Use the electronic tools. PubMed is the easiest way in most cases. Other interfaces can be used for complex searches or systematic reviews. Learn how to make your search quick and accurate. So you can have the online tutorials or practice. All what I have told you are all available on the YouTube in nice videos. PubMed, the site itself gives you the frequently asked questions, FAQs, as well as tutorials on how to use the PubMed. All very, very user-friendly. Any beginner can even start doing this straight away. Identify and use the most appropriate mesh term, and don't forget to look at the references of the most relevant papers on the topic. And archive your bibliography. Hard copies are difficult to manage. Use a reference manager software. Download and print selected full text articles, or it can be kept on your tab or PC. So the 7 steps to an effective PubMed search and how to find primary research articles. Access PubMed via the library's website in order to have access to full text of the journals the library subscribes to. There are big universities where all this is available freely. Break your search into components, concepts, and enter terms for each concept separately, so that you take advantage of the auto suggest terms feature. Use advanced search to combine results. Change display setting to abstract and apply. Review the abstracts. Send the relevant citations to clipboard. For most relevant citations, click on the related articles and send to the clipboard. Additional relevant citations. Repeat till most relevant citations are identified. And if necessary, further refine your search using the filters on the left side of the page. The filters include the article type, language, publication date, RCTs, reviews, etc. So be PubMed proficient. I hope this small talk would at least inspire you to look into PubMed in more details. I have a small quiz on this before we go to the second part of the talk on the other research. Aniket, can you take over now?
Yes, sir. I launched the poll.
Yes. We shall discuss the results at the end. So the polls will be handled by Dr. Aniket. So the first question was, you're looking for a literature search about hydroxychloroquine as an immunomodulator. Which of the following will you best search? Of course, here you have to use the Boolean term and most of you have answered correctly. Can I have the next one?
Sir, you have to scroll down, sir. All are
Okay.
there.
Okay, fine. Thank you. The second question is, if PubMed cannot find a match for a phrase, for example, lethal dose in mesh or journal translation, it will split up the phrase and take each word, lethal and dose, through the automatic term mapping. Yeah, most of you are corrected. Answered this correct. Number 3, PubMed search filters are applied until you clear them, that I mentioned many times during my talk. Most of you have answered that. Which of the following PubMed search strategies will retrieve citations on the topic of allergies to sulfasalazine or dapsone? Most of you answered this also well. So this is the intelligent use of the Boolean logic, allergies and sulfasalazine or dapsone. So you get a wide search. You have answered this also well. Which PubMed features show you how your search was translated, including information about mesh mappings, error messages, and stuff? It's the search details. Yeah, correct. We'll go to the next question. Yeah. When you see a citation labeled PubMed index for Medline, that means the citation has been indexed with the mesh terms, has been indexed with the publication types, as well as the substance names. So all of the above is the right answer. So here the search words JC, CJSN would search for the author name, the name of the journal, as well as the journal word title. So that's the correct answer. C is the correct answer. NLM indexers add which of the following terms to Medline records? I told you about this mesh. So this is done manually, and that is why you don't get a recent search. On a Medline record, what does an asterisk after a mesh term indicate? Yes, correct. The term reflects a major topic of the article. And the truncation symbol in PubMed, yes, this is the one that is the correct answer. I think most of them have got it right. Most of the answers were right. And majority agreed with the majority have answered it correct. Yes. So now I go on to the other databases. The other one is called the Embase. Embase is Excerpta Medica database. So what is Embase? This is an Elsevier database which indexes about 8,500 plus journals. The data coverage is from 1974 till now. And this is a medical research from all around the world, especially Europe and Asia. So these are the key domains under which Embase functions: pharmaceuticals, pharmacology, general clinical medicine, genetics, biochemistry, obstetrics, gynecology, rehabilitation, and complementary alternative medicine. What is this M-tree? M-tree is the mesh of Embase. So this is a controlled vocabulary used in Embase, and it standardizes words to make it easier to find what you're looking for and assigned by experts in the subject matter. What essentially is the difference between PubMed and Embase? See, PubMed is an online version of Index Medicus produced by the NLM and freely available on the net. Embase is an Elsevier database. It's available only by subscription, though it is available on a number of interfaces like Ovid, etc. However, it is available on subscription, and that is one of the major deters to searching for the Embase unless your library has got subscription to it. So the coverage of PubMed is from 1966 and selectively to 1809 and contains over 25 million records. In addition to Medline and PubMed, it has in-process citations, some older citations, citations to non-medical journals, and citations to ebooks. This is back to, Embase is back to 1947, selectively to 1902, 29 million records, 8,500 journals from 90 countries. Includes all Medline plus over 2,000 extra titles, and about 260,000 conference abstracts are available in Embase. Some free full text is available through the PubMed Central. the amount of full text availability in Embase is very, very limited. And the subject coverage with PubMed is medical, biomedical, life sciences. Here it is medical, biomedical sciences, drug and pharmacy journals. PubMed has the EC keyword searching and automatic mapping to mesh terms, no subheading selection. Results may be limited to reviews and full text. Here is an advanced search with guided mapping or keywords. The M3, that is the mesh plus synonyms. Basic natural language search with synonym thinking and relevance ranking. Subheadings include specific drug-related topics and extensive limiting options available, including types of trials, routes of drug administration, evidence-based medicine, etc. Here, the clinical query allows for clinical trials, systematic reviews, and medical genetic topics. So Embase is probably a little better in terms of search. However, the non-availability freely is a major deter to the use of Embase. The other features like related citations, including highlighting of review articles, links, etc., are available at PubMed. Here, similar articles and citing articles are there, and email alerts can be there, and citations are exported to an EndNote. Here, you can register with My NCBI and save the searches, set up alerts, and customize filters. So, when to use PubMed? This is for if you're unable to access subscription databases for EC keyword searching, clinical queries, genetic topics, to be offered related citations, PubMed is useful. Embase you'll use for guided M3 subject searching, for great basic natural language, drug pharmacy topics, to pick up recent articles and conference papers, Embase may be useful. And for extensive search limiting options, Embase could be useful. So Embase uses the term, the OVID interface, and there are some M3 terms. So this is just nothing but the thesaurus, plain English using terms, and there is guided mapping. And this extensive M3 structure uses many synonyms used in mapping and displays a number of records. And comprehensive early coverage of pharmaceuticals during drug development stages and clinical trials, M3 would be a better option. It's easy to use interface, easy workflow, subject subheadings, etc. Rest of the world journal coverage is relatively better. Searching multiple databases with no loss of functionality and alert for deduplication. McMaster clinical queries are there, natural language searching, full text linking are also available. So this is the Embase scope and content. Embase has also added all the Mendeley records. So if you look at the number of articles in each subject, you could find pharmacology and toxicology and general clinical medicine, genetics, biochemistry, and molecular biology form the major chunk. Nephrology and neurology is only 2% here. So the M3 thesaurus is nothing but something similar to Mendeley mesh, to the PubMed mesh. And it often uses singular rather than plural forms. And the similar terms may vary from mesh terms in the level of detail and position in the subject hierarchy. However, the thesaurus here is very simple and uses natural language. So as of January 2020, M3 contains about 86,000 preferred terms, 33,000 for drugs and chemicals, about 4 lakh synonyms, 5,500 specific terms for general medical devices, 12,000 medical device trade names, several thousand terms for related medical procedures, 66 drug subheadings, including 47 routes of administration and 2 drug subheadings, especially for pharmacovigilance focus searching, 14 disease subheadings, 50 check tags, including RCT, systematic reviews, and diagnostic test accuracy study, and links to almost about 25,000 registry numbers. So this is how you look at Embase on OVID. You can use basic search, advanced search, citation, and the M3. Then I move to Cochrane. So the major advantage of Embase is pharmacology, pharmacovigilance, drug trials give latest information. However, easy access is not widely available. Now we'll go to the Cochrane Library. the motto here is trusted evidence, informed decisions, better health. So the Cochrane Library is a collection of databases that contain different types of high quality, independent evidence to inform healthcare and decision making. This is owned by Cochrane and published by the Wiley Publications. Cochrane, previously known as Cochrane Collaboration, is a British international charitable organization formed to organize medical research findings to facilitate evidence-based choices about health interventions involving health professionals, patients, and policymakers. Sorry. The Cochrane Collection is a unique worldwide organization that helps people make well-informed decisions about healthcare by preparing, maintaining, and promoting the accessibility of systematic reviews of the effects of healthcare interventions. It is a not-for-profit organization and collaborates with organizations free from commercial interests. So the methodology used here is they base their findings on the results of studies that meet certain quality criteria, which are quite stringent, since the most reliable studies will provide the best evidence for making decisions about healthcare. So the Cochrane database of systematic reviews is a leading resource for systematic reviews in healthcare. And each Cochrane review is a peer-reviewed systematic review that has been prepared and supervised by a Cochrane review group, the editorial team. So this is how Cochrane does its search. It looks at all gray and published in all languages, systematic manual searches of the key journals, and it identifies studies based on reference reviews and consultation with experts. If this review is for relevance, it undergoes critical appraisal, extract data, analyze data, conclusions, then puts it in a plain language summary and updates. If it doesn't meet the stringent criteria that Cochrane sets in, it's not relevant, the article is rejected. This is how they do it. So if you look at this pyramid, clinical reference text at the bottom, and you'll find the Cochrane systematic reviews right on top, only a small portion. So you can understand how stringent their quality control is, and they want only the best evidence to be put up. That will help in patient care and help the health personnel. So this is the Cochrane site where you could search similar to PubMed. So suppose you search for hypertension, then again it gives you the other filters. All dates you could work for the word variations. And then you look at the Cochrane reviews for hypertension, 333, protocols 37, the number of trials, the editorials, everything is available. And you could search this way. And this is using the help search functionality where it provides information on the most commonly used features for the tab being used. And you can use the search tab also. The CDSR impact factor in 2019 is something like 7.89, and it is ranked 10 of the 165 journals in the medicine, general, and internal category. The CDSR received 67,763 cites in the 2019 journal impact factor period, compared to 67,607 in the year previously. So is the Cochrane Library good? Yeah, it is the most authoritative and up-to-date source of evidence-based information and can help clinicians make decisions about appropriate and effective healthcare. It brings together in one place research which looks at the effectiveness of different healthcare treatments and interventions. Are Cochrane reviews reliable? It was found that in about 30% of reviews had major problems, including inappropriate methods and conclusion. As they say, improvement is still possible, but this figure is nevertheless represents a major improvement on the quality of the Cochrane reviews. So this is about the Cochrane review, which is mostly looking at in a short meta-analysis or systematic reviews, picking out articles on that particular subject and then streamlining them into the ones with very high quality, and based on that publish their results. Now we'll come to another search term. This is called CINAHL. CINAHL is nothing but cumulative index of nursing and allied health literature. So there's a database in nursing and related fields. There are about 600 scientific journals included here, abstracts, charts, images, etc. And the full text access starts from 1981. And there are CINAHL headings. There are books and monograms, and dissertations and theses, and continuing education units. So basically here, it's a descriptor used in association to mesh descriptors, allows you to retrieve relevant records according to your research question, and allows rigorous search strategy which contributes to clear and objective methodology. So this is how the CINAHL site looks like, where you could, with the CINAHL headings, you could search. You can type in the search term, and then the descriptive term is available. You could select the descriptor, and then if you can apply the same filters. Basically, it is all the same, except that it looks at mostly the nursing. So here you could look at these two articles which talk about RCT, nursing research, and then characteristics of quantitative nursing research, etc. You can choose the available format, a time range, source type. All these filters could be used to refine your search, and you could change the article order from relevance to the date newest, similar to PubMed. And it allows abstracts and descriptor readings at a later date. You could save it, and you can manage the results in the way you want. So you could send it to your email, or then you can save it in your clipboard and then look at it. So it's CINAHL, a good database. It's considered that some databases are more useful than others for specific types of review. So this is generally thought to be a good source to search when conducting a review of qualitative evidence, and mainly used by the nursing personnel. A few words about Mendeley. So Mendeley is a software. You have to download that software into your system. From what limited conversations I had with friends, there are some teething problems in installing the software. If somebody knows better, they could tell us at the end of this talk. So here you create your own library. You can manage your documents and references, inserting citations and generating bibliographies, and sharing references using the groups. So what is Mendeley? Mendeley is a free academic software. You could use it on Windows, Mac, or the Linux to manage, share, read, annotate, and cite your research papers, and a research network to manage your papers online, discover research trends and stats, and to connect to like-minded researchers. So comparison of Mendeley and others, Mendeley definitely has a lot of advantages, where there is a free web storage of nearly 1 GB. It helps you to organize your PDFs. It helps you to organize your cross-platform across desktop, web, and mobile devices. And it also gives you some metadata extraction technology, which is not available with most other things. And based in London, Mendeley are about 30 plus researchers, graduates, and software developers from, you could see the number of people who are involved here: Cambridge, Imperial College, King's College, backed by co-founders and former executives of the Last FM, supported by Eurostars, etc. So here you could create your profile, your interests, your publications, etc. You could click to review your profile, and you can look at your research articles that you have published. You can search for papers, groups, people working on similar areas, get into Mendeley and have a close-knit communication. You can create your own library where you can put up all your documents, filter your papers by authors, keywords, tags, publication, etc. And you could add to files, create new folders, and use indexing. You could look up the document details, where you could go onto the URL and click, and you can get relevant information. Any missing information is added automatically. And there's a web importer from where you search on the web, you could import it directly into Mendeley. It helps you to grab your citations off the web also. And the web importer can be used to save it. Even on the PubMed site, you can import it to Mendeley. From the PubMed, you can import it to Mendeley. And you can add references and edit and manage your library online. You can manage your documents and references on this software. And you could search by using the search technology of your own documents. And you can annotate and highlight. This is another advantage of this. And there is a file organizer. So you can go into tools, options, and organize your file. You can cite and share the references. You can insert the citation in a Word, and then you can highlight the paper you want to cite. And citing in Word and OpenOffice. So this can be done even in a Word document. You can, citations will show up based on the selected style. So cite into Google Documents or other editors by copy and paste. Share references with Mendeley groups. So here you can get your group members, people working on similar lines. They can request to join or simply follow the activity of the group. And the private group contains text and the public groups share only references. And you can create your own Mendeley group online. So, and this is how you create your professional research profile. And the research papers overview, most read articles, everything could be read on Mendeley. And this is the number of people using Mendeley all over the world. And there are some advisors who help the new features and introduce Mendeley to friends and colleagues. So when I did my MD and DM, most of the searching used to be going to the library, picking up a ladder and then climbing up the ladder to pick up one of these books and then search. It used to be a very, very difficult job, as what the initial workers on PubMed did. And now you have everything on your palm top. The PubMed has a mobile app also that can be downloaded on your mobile. And medical search, literature search has become easy now. Sitting in your comfort of your office, you could search the medical literature. You need not go to the library, pick up these books on the topmost shelf full of dust them and start searching. Those were, and look around for a Xerox to copy that. Thank you very much for the very patient attention. There's another poll that based on the few topics that I covered here. So the first question here is, so in which database are EPUB ahead of print articles available? It's available both on PubMed as well as Embase. A nursing student would search which database to find peer-reviewed articles on treatment of hypertension. That's CINAHL. Most of you have answered it right. Which of the following provides platform to manage, share, read, annotate, and cite your research papers and to connect with peers? Most of you have got it, Mendeley, right? Which of the following provides best access to systematic reviews that help in healthcare? That's Cochrane, and most of you have got it right. Thank you, Aniket, for managing the polls.
The first question is from Rajanna Sridhara. Is Cochrane review available for free, or one should pay for the content?
There are certain articles that are available free of cost, but most of it is available. Through some other links, you could get the articles.
There's another question from Venkat. He wants to know, how do you create a PubMed link to all PubMed listed articles?
I didn't get that question pretty much.
Suppose actually you have a lot of publications, how to create a PubMed link to all these published articles?
I think we'll have to do it individually on each article, because it also gives you an option of an update through email of any recent article that's published on that particular subject that you're interested in.
There's another question from Sindhura Lakshmi. How do we export citations for all the articles that we cite in a manuscript by using PubMed?
You could actually, the simple thing that you can do is you can copy it on your clipboard, and then see it at the end. The clipboard will carry it on your system for about 8 hours. Then you could save it or edit it. If you're not very tech savvy on the PubMed, you could copy paste the abstract onto your text document and then read it at a later date.
There's one question from Dr. Anita Alaya. Can we use Mendeley to organize the bibliography in an article we are writing?
Yes, the main problem with the Mendeley is you have to download that software and install it on your system. Once you do that, it becomes very user-friendly. You could do that, yes.
Radhika C. Radhakrishnan has a question. Which reference citation manager do you personally find most useful while writing manuscripts?
I am familiar with PubMed and I feel PubMed is better. I have not used the other databases very widely. For me, PubMed seems to be better.
Sudhir Ranjan Dash has a question. How to use Google Scholar?
Google Scholar is nothing but you go onto Google and type a particular author's name and then go into Google Scholar. You can find the articles written by that gentleman. I think that's quite simple on Google.
From Sanjay N, which would be the best database to search for orthopedic and related surgery articles?
PubMed covers all aspects of medicine. So that is good enough.
There's a question from Deepthi. She wants to know, do we need to search the same type of study while writing manuscript?
You could get a similar article. So if you have a particular reference article, you could get into that article and then go down and look at similar articles on that subject and also look at the citations. The citations are the ones that have been published after the current one that you are reading. So that will give more latest information as well.
Amit Lankot is asking whether you can do a live demo of a search in PubMed, example, renal complications in cardiac disease or something like that.
Yes, it can be done. Just now I did this for obesity and kidney IgA nephropathy. I demonstrated to you. So that can be done.
Okay. Professor Rajagopal has a question. Dr. Fernando, can you tell the process that we can create in Indian setting repository of such knowledge management?
Well, I think the ISN website also contains, you can contribute to the ISN website by the Indian Society of Nephrology has a website where latest information about articles are being published. So it requires, and the PGI group also has a email, web-based link through which people can share what they have read on an email system that goes in the PGI group. Now, through WhatsApp, we have a lot of information that are gathered in the nephrology update groups. So the information is there in plenty. And the resources to get this information are also available right now.
The next question is from Haider Alidan. Do you prefer Mendeley or EndNote for reference manager?
As I told you, I'm not very familiar with using Mendeley, so I really cannot answer the question. But from what I read and understand, that Mendeley seems to be extremely useful if you want to create your own library and managing bibliography and your articles, etc.
Again, the next question also is somewhat similar from Dr. Arjuna Bhatt. Mendeley versus Odro, which citation manager will you use? So I think actually Sir has already answered that.
Yes, yes.
And there's a suggestion from Krishnan Raju. He has shared a link also. Paperpile, he has suggested to try out Paperpile, a new reference manager from Google. And he has actually shared a link to that blog experience. So probably people who are interested can actually copy the link and try using that as well.
Okay.
And,
if you could put that link in our WhatsApp group, we could share it in the nephrology update group also.
Yeah, and Rajiv Kumar Thapar is asking about ResearchGate.
Yeah, ResearchGate is it's again an interface through which you could search your publications, etc. But I don't think it has got such friendly features like PubMed.
The last is a comment from Dr. Atul. He has informed that citation management softwares will be covered in the last session of the introductory course. So I hope actually quite a lot of confusion on the citation managers can be covered in that session. So
Okay.
that finishes all the questions. Thank you, sir, for an excellent presentation.
Thank you, Priyamada.
Thank you, all the speakers and participants. Sir, can we end the meeting?
Yes.
Yes, I think after thanking Edwin again, we should
Thank you,
end the
sir.
meeting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Have a nice Sunday.